Semi-detached homes, the most entertaining property type to follow along in Calgary. Now, you can see that this crazy roller coaster ride has hopped all the way back up to April-June prices. We haven't actually reached our May highs yet, so let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. I take the time, break down the market, and provide information that is valuable to you. If you like what you see, go ahead, leave a comment, please subscribe, share with your friends. So let's get into it. All right, so this graph here is very interesting to look at, and you can break it down into many different things. So this is Calgary as a whole. You need to break it down into a lot more detail for your personal situation. So the red bar is a benchmark price. Now, the benchmark price is quite interesting. I'm gonna link some of the attributes for semi-detached homes in Calgary because some people are confused about the benchmark price, the average price, the median price. I did create a video about the explanation of that, and I'll also link that below. So you can see that we haven't quite hit May highs of last year, but we are at June prices with a very aggressive increase between February and March of 2023. So you can see last year just how big the sales to inventory gap got in May, June, July after the interest rates were increased. Semi-detached homes are very sensitive. And the reason being, you go in older communities like Bowness or Highland Park and you find some older detached homes that are a little bit more run down that are worth $300,000 to $400,000. But at the same time, you go to city center and you find some very nice luxury detached homes that are over $1 million. So they're very sensitive to price fluctuations and shifts in the economy. So these are very fun to watch. You can see that the sales slowly decreased all throughout the year and the inventory stayed elevated until about, looks like September, October, and then it started to go down. Now, the sales have decreased and they kind of hit a bottom there in September all the way to February, and then we're starting to increase with the inventory to sales getting tight, which is good in a way. So the price point for the semi-detached homes have aggressively increased, and I anticipate them to continue to increase based off of the price point. Now, to dive into the exact price points will be very interesting because you can clearly see which is pulling up and down the number. So moving forward here, this is the year-to-date stats package for semi-detached homes. Again, Calgary as a whole. You can see that in the whole city, there was only 217 sales, 279 new listings, 285 inventory, and 29 days on market. So everything's up besides days on market, which has fallen. It went from 36 to 29, and we're sitting around July stats of last year for days on market. Now, I would anticipate that's going to continue to fall, probably down 20 days as the market gets a little bit more competitive. Now, you can see that the price point is at $581,000, which is not quite not quite as high as May 2022. So what I've done here is I actually pulled the data for Calgary's history ever. So yes, we haven't hit May highs of last year, June, sorry. But if you look at this price or this chart here, you can see that we're only 2 months away, right? So May and June of last year were more expensive than what they are this year. Besides that, if you drop all the way down here, you can see 21s and then 2014. So 2014, they were 509. And then dropping down 2015s, you got some 18s in there. So right now is the most expensive it has ever been to buy a semi-detached home in Calgary. Again, Calgary has a very wide range of detached homes, but the benchmark price, or some people would call it the average price, more or less the benchmark, is the highest it's ever been. So that means the more affordable products are more expensive and the luxury products are just going up higher and higher. So let's dive into this a little bit more. Now here's the microeconomic outlook for semi-detached homes in all of Calgary. So you can see that the sales to new listing ratio is about 78%, which is one of the highest sales to new listing ratios. But when you look at the sales in the new listings, the numbers are very small. So as an example, in East, there was only 6 sales and 9 new listings in the whole quadrant. So I mean, you're talking about pretty small numbers. And even somewhere like Northwest, where it's 15 and 18. So when you have such small numbers like this, these percentages and all of this stuff can really change quickly because they're so small. Now, the days on market is very important. The months of supply is very important. It is 1.3. You can see that the city center is around 2, and there's a couple places northeast, south, and southeast that are actually under 1. Very strong seller's market. Really good for sellers. As a buyer, you need to make sure that you're being a little bit more aggressive in the negotiation process or looking at homes that have been on the market for longer than 30, 45 days. Here is the benchmark price for each quadrant. Here's the year over year. You can see that the year over year is actually quite small. They're only 1 to 2%. You can see some threes in there, but nothing too crazy. You can see that the 7.3% increase from last year for Calgary East was quite large, but again, you're a very low price point at that. But that kind of goes to my point that the affordable product in Calgary is increasing. Now, month over month, just like everyone else, apparently, I haven't actually put in the numbers of how much it's increased exactly month over month. So in post, I'll make sure to edit that here. So this is the sales by price point. Now this is very important to realize as a buyer and a seller. Because semi-detached homes have such a wide range, it is very important to understand where they're at. Now you can see that the 700 to 1 million is the biggest or the most active amount of sales, but they also have 3 100,000 subcategories in one. So if you broke that down into like 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 1 million, it would be a lot less, but they just encompass it into one to not make this graph too big. So you can see that the 400 to 500 and the 500 to 600,000 are neck and neck. Where last year you can see that there was a lot more sales, and oddly enough, in 2021, this is one of the first times I've seen this, you can see that the $300,000 to $400,000 price point actually outweighed everything. So as Calgary gets more and more expensive, this will be very important for us to have a general understanding of what price point you're getting in and how expensive it's going to be. Clearly, we can see that the 700 to a million is quite active, so keep that in consideration. Now, this next chart here is the year-to-date sales. You can actually see that we're below the 10-year average. You can see that 2013, 14, 21, and 22, we were actually above the 10-year average, over 150 sales year-to-date. This year, we're probably about 140-ish, and we're really not being able to move too much because of the lack of listings. So with that being said, look at just how small the listings are. We are the lowest we've ever been year to date for new listings. Now, I talked about this in every other product type that the pandemic really pushed a lot of people over the edge to sell their property with low interest rates and being stuck in a slow market for 6 years. When those two things happened, they had an opportunity to jump ship, get out of whatever they purchased, and move forward. Now, there's just not enough listings to keep in demand. So luckily enough, the sales are slow, but the new listings are also slow. If new listings continue to be this deflated, I would have to imagine that the semi-detached homes are going to increase. How much? It's very hard to say because, again, semi-detached homes are very sensitive to different economic factors that go on to Calgary, mainly because of the luxury listings that are kind of in that awkward range where people can either easily afford them and buy cash, or people are stretching themselves to get into a luxury product at an affordable price. So semi-detached homes are going to be very interesting to watch this year. Now, last but not least, this is the price change chart. This is just a visual. This is to showcase to you what's going on. So you can see in 2018 to 22, really not much movement. I mean, when you compare the two, or the 4 years, sorry, you can see that the price, yeah, obviously it fluctuated, but not by much. 2022, it absolutely exploded with a little bit of a correction. Now 2023, where are we going to end up? I'm not sure. Semi-detached homes are very interesting to say the least. So if you have any questions, you want to create a strategy, you want to talk about these things, you want to get my opinion, go ahead, book a call with me. I'm easy to talk to, and I find this stuff very fascinating. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. Until next time, peace.